Hi, guys, and happy Tuesday. So, it's Twisted Tuesday story time, where I tell a true crime story or stories just about the paranormal or hauntings, just some interesting stories. So, today is that day, and we are also days away from the 4th of July and the 250th anniversary of our beautiful country's birthday. So, I hope you guys have plans to go out with family or get together and have barbecues and fireworks and all that good stuff. That's what I'm going to do this weekend. I'm take my kids to watch fireworks. That's like one of my favorite holidays. So, all right. So, today we have an extraordinary true crime story. One of trust shattered, heroism betrayed, and dark, calculated greed. Straight greed. People are horrible. We're going to dive deeply into the troubling, true heartbreaking case of Bob McClancy, a brave veteran from the Vietnam War who survived battles abroad only to lose his life tragically at home when he came home from the war, betrayed by those closest to him. So, viewer discretion is strongly advised because we'll be exploring chilling details, disturbing motives, and the haunting reality of betrayal from within. All right. So, Robert Bob, as he's better known, McClancy, was born in 1949 and served honorably in the Vietnam War as a U.S. Marine. He was known for his resilience and integrity, and all the soldiers liked him. And like many soldiers, he returned home with the invisible scars of war: PTSD, anxiety, and a profound sense of just detachment, like most soldiers feel when they come home. But Bob did not hide his struggles. He sought support from fellow veterans and worked toward recovery. He made a lot of friends and had a really close group of friends that were in similar situations. They were all veterans going through the same thing he was. So his life kind of started to get better. They would all meet and talk, and this helped Bob get as close to a normal life as possible. In the mid 1990s, Bob would meet Martha Ann, and she was a woman with a calm, collected demeanor, and he thought that she was the most beautiful woman he has ever seen, he told his friends and family. He felt like he finally met the missing piece to his life. After a couple years of dating and moving in together, the couple finally got married in 1995. They seemed so happy, and every one of their friends were so happy for them. And on the outside, the couple looked so strong, like they belonged together. They were very active in church, they hung out in veteran circles, and they were deeply connected to the Monroe County, Tennessee community that they lived in. They seemed like the perfect couple to everyone who knew them. But on May 15th, 2006, Charles, he went by Chuck, a fellow veteran and very close friend of Bob, made a frantic phone call to 911. And this wasn't a good phone call. He claimed to have found Bob dead in a recliner at home, apparently from a drug overdose. The police arrived to find Bob slumped over in his chair over like a table with pills knocked over and lying on the table that he was slumped over. There was no signs of struggle, no chaos, and despite these subtle red flags, the initial cause of death was ruled as a suicide. And the case was closed, at least for a while. Bob's friends and family would say that they don't ever in a million years think that Bob would take his own life. And nobody really believed the suicide story, but for years that's how it went. They described him as hopeful, though, working through his PSD and actively participating in local veterans programs. And his wife, Martha, seemed so upset, she went on several news outlets and just crying and going over saying that he was the joy of her life and she was grieving so much over him. Like a normal wife would act. And she was grief stricken. But the people that knew him, they just knew something was off. And only weeks after his funeral, Martha Ann's demeanor shifted big time. She began flaunting her new relationship with Chuck. Yes, the very same Chuck that found Bob's body. So she took no time at all to collect the hundreds of thousands of dollars of life insurance policies that she had taken out on Bob shortly before his death. and she would move in with Chuck. And it raised a little concern at first, but not too much, until they began to carry on and act as like Bob never existed. Whispers around town and inside Bob's family and circle of friends grew louder. Something was terribly wrong, and everyone was starting to feel it and talk about it with each other. In 2012, new evidence brought the case back into the spotlight. Thank goodness. Detectives re examined the case after persistent urging from Bob's friends. They discovered that Martha Ann and Chuck had been romantically involved before, not after, Bob's death. So they were cheating on Bob. And that didn't look good. The investigation found that they had staged Bob's suicide, complete with practice photos to ensure it looked convincing. Phone records, emails, financial documents all painted a picture of betrayal driven by money. They had meticulously planned Bob's death in order to appear natural, ensuring the insurance payouts would not be questioned at all. But their sloppiness, especially Chuck's confessions and almost bragging that he told acquaintances and other friends of his that he had murdered or helped murder Bob. And Martha, her spending spree so soon after Bob's death, cracked the facade. Chuck was the first to break. Confronted with the mounting evidence under intense questioning by the detectives, he confessed to the plot. He admitted he helped Martha Ann kill Bob with prescription drugs and then staged it to look like a suicide overdose. His confession was detailed, implicating Martha Ann as the mastermind. The arrest of Martha Ann and Chuck stunned the community. Local news ran back-to-back coverage on everything, and Bob's story went national. Veterans felt betrayed, especially the ones that were his friends and close friends. A man considered a brother and he had been murdered, not in war, but at home, by the people that he had trusted most. Pretty shitty, huh? Anyway, the trial revealed a very ugly and disgusting details. Prosecutors showed how Martha had taken out multiple life insurance policies on Bob right before he had died. Witnesses testified to her manipulative nature and said that she had a cold attitude after Bob's death. Chuck took the stand, describing in vivid detail how they carried out the murder. He was given a deal from prosecutors to confess and tell the whole story on the witness stand. Photos of the crime scene, emails with disturbing content, and even trial reenactments were shown to the jury. The jury couldn't even look at some of them. They had to hide their eyes sometimes. Martha showed very little emotion during the testimony. Some even said she looked bored. I mean, what kind of woman is this? A sociopath, sounds like. Some even said that she just didn't look like she cared at all. It took only hours for the jury to return with a verdict. Forensic psychologists weighed in. Martha Ann was labeled a sociopath. What do you know? With narcissistic tendencies. She had manipulated multiple people before Bob, but never to this extent. Chuck was described as weak-willed and easily controlled, especially doing anything to please Martha. And the relationship was built on deception, and it led to murder. Excuse me. What baffled many was how long they maintained their innocence, even under pressure, until Chuck's conscience finally gave way. Thank goodness Chuck had a conscience, because Martha did not at all. So veterans groups across Tennessee held vigils and launched awareness campaigns after the verdict. Bob's story was shared across military forums and advocacy groups, warning about the risks of financial exploitation and emotional manipulation. Sorry. A memorial fund was started in his name. Scholarships were granted to children of veterans. Bob's legacy shifted from victim to symbol, a man who's tragic and helped protect others from a similar fate, which that's really good. That was really awesome of his friends to do. But despite the confessions, many questions remain unanswered. Why did no one speak up sooner? And how did Martha Ann keep the secret so well hidden? Could Bob have been saved if someone had looked closer? Even from prison, Martha Ann refuses to express any remorse at all. Chuck's guilt weighs heavy, but for Bob's friends and family, the wounds remain open. The betrayal still stings. Martha was sentenced to 50 years in prison, and Chuck, it remains behind bars as well, but he did get a lighter sentence for telling everything that happened. So, Bob McClancy's story is a tragedy of trust destroyed completely. He survived war, built a life, served his community, got his life all back together, only to be betrayed for profit. It's horrible. But his legacy endures. And if this story moved you, please share it. Talk to a veteran. Speak up. If something feels off, always speak up. Because sometimes the most dangerous enemies are the ones who sit right closest to us. Thank you for watching. And if you found this story compelling, please leave me a comment. I love hearing from you guys. Also, consider subscribing to the channel and leave a like so YouTube will show the story to more viewers and help get this story out. So stay safe, vigilant, and always trust your gut. And I'll see you in the next video.